autism, and so Andy's just big and gangly anyway, so he's not aware of his arms and legs sometimes. So he likes that. He loves for me to like fingers and hair and that kind of stuff, and the back of his neck. He likes all of that stuff. And, so yeah, if you're trying to calm him down, that's a good idea. If you're trying to calm him down, or you're trying to just sit with him, and sometimes you may find during the story it's better to like have him on your lap, or to kind of, I usually sit like this because you're in those tiny little chairs. I sit like this, and have my arms around him like that. So, yeah, that's a good point.
And with other kids that are around, if they ask questions, what do you want other kids to know about interacting with him? How can we direct them, I guess, to understand?
Well, that's not something I've thought a whole lot about. Yeah. Sundays have become, and you can pray for me, but the Sundays have become, I'm probably going to cry now, have become very difficult for me because I see him with kids his own age. So, and that's when I start to really see the differences. So you'll have to excuse me. I come home on Sundays and I'm just a mess. So it doesn't probably help that I have a lot of extra hormones right now. So, the kids, a lot of the kids, like the Sojay kids, are pretty used to him, I think. And they didn't seem like, when I sat in there with him, I don't even really see them like pay attention to him. I guess you could just say his brain works a little differently than yours does, and so we need to make sure that we're trying to be his friend, even when he may not be trying to be their friend.
Yeah. Okay.
And plus, he's so tall for his age that that's another challenge. People are expecting him to act like a 4 or 5-year-old.
Yes.
And he's what, 3?
3 and a half. He's not even going to be 4 till the end of May, so he's just very big, and he wears the glasses, and so yeah, he does look a lot older than he is.
Eddie, has he been coming?
Eddie their family was making a concerted effort to come at the beginning of the school year. And last I spoke to Lorna, they were having some setbacks that they were having to deal with. And evidently, as I'm learning from Sharon and from Lorna, church is not the place to deal with those setbacks because we're not an everyday thing, and autism is repetitious, and church is a real monkey wrench in their
Well, you're surrounded by, it's a new atmosphere, it's a whole bunch of new people, and the expectations aren't clear for him. Once he starts to understand, that room is going to have to be where the expectation, the people are going to change, but in that room, I know that this is what I'm allowed to do. And so. Now, have you decided to keep Daniel with you at the beginning of the worship service, and then, I know this is new, we just started this like a month ago. Well, or are you leaving him in the toddler room and not first to pick him up? Is that too hard of a transition for him? Well, what we're kind of running into, one of his other stims is this noise that he makes that we are totally oblivious to because we're so used to it. And we didn't really notice it until he was in church. And so then I got concerned that other people were hearing that, which is probably my issue, not everybody else's, because everybody was like, no, I don't hear it. And I'm like, it's real loud to me. Every mother deals with that. My child's crying, I have to leave. We're going to work our way into that. Right now, when we started, it was December, and there was Advent. People were joining the church, and so church service got longer and longer and longer in that beginning part. He was supposed to be quieter and quieter, and it was not working. And so we may wait a couple months, get him used to that room, and then try it again. Okay. I don't want to freak him out and do a million different things differently at once. Right. So, right now, he's transitioning from the nursery into that room with no problem. So, we'll start there and work our way up to it slowly. Yeah.
One thing I think Lorna and Eddie, part of the reason they don't come is because it's so hard for them to be here with Eddie and see what you were saying. Yeah. I remember her saying how hard that was. I just want to encourage you to continue because with time he's getting better. He is getting better. And we all have to look with you toward the future, and to forsake this fellowship is not good for you. And it's not good for Lorna and Eddie. I'm just encouraging you though to continue, and I really, if we ever have opportunity to encourage Lorna and Eddie to come on, we're with you in this because they need to be with us.
I really do think most people would rather see you in church, even if he's making a noise, than not be there.
I would rather be here too, and I know it's really important for him to be around other kids and other people because it's not going to get any easier for him. He's going to have to learn to deal with it.
One thing I've noticed Lorna doing, and I don't know if this would work for you or not, but Eddie is a talker in church and not aware that it's not the appropriate place to talk. So the last 6 or 7 times I've seen him in worship, they've given him a little sucker.
He doesn't like
Keeps
quality.
his mouth busy.
Yeah, and that's
sugared up.
that's how ABA therapy works. It's with positive reinforcements. Like, if we wanted him to sit quietly for 5 minutes, you'd feed him a Fruit Loop every 30 seconds, and he'd sit there for you. So I can try that in church, but again, in worship training, I feel bad giving him extra things when the other kids don't get it too, you know. And kindergarten's coming sooner than later, and that they're not going to sit there and feed him Fruit Loops for 8 hours a day.
Right,
so,
right.
so yeah. I mean, we've tried to give him books, and I'm gonna have to bring pretzels or something once we make that transition into it.
Yeah. The last couple of weeks have gone really very quickly.
Yes.
Through the beginning to where the worship training exit happened. So
Yes. So we can try again. And I wanted to say about Lorna, she's on Facebook quite a bit, so you can always drop her a line on Facebook too. That's kind of where I talk to her sometimes, is on Facebook. So just to encourage her, let her know. I mean, I understand. It's hard, and I know her husband is traveling a lot now too, so it's hard. And when Carl's on call and I drag all 3 of them here, I'm exhausted by the time we get here. So, yeah.
which is why we want to have the nursery and worship training and things so that you can leave your loved ones with us and you can go and worship. So, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, big thing, just be firm with him. Try and engage him in conversation when you can. I'm not saying he's going to be receptive to that all the time, but if you try with him, he notices. He notices people that don't try to, and he's not going to have much to do with you. We've seen that in the nursery with a worker or 2. And the workers that do try, he loves them. So, and I see a big difference. Like, it's a lot easier to let him go into nursery than.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
How does he respond if someone gives him like a little trinket or toy? Something? Is that not good for him to receive objects, presents or stuff?
No, that's fine.
That's okay?
Yeah. Especially if you're trying to get him to do something and it's something he wants, you know, Daniel sit at the table and you're, I mean, that's how ABA therapy works. It's a lot of positive and that's another thing too, that you probably do it naturally, and you do this with all the kids, but just encouraging him when he does do something you want to do. Good job throwing that away, Daniel. Every little thing that you ask him to do when he does it, tell him what a good job he did. Every time. Because that just reinforces it in his brain. Oh, when I do what I'm supposed to do, they like that. So.
And he's not real verbal yet, is he?
He is a lot more verbal than he was 6 months ago. He can ask for things. He can say, I want goldfish, I want water. It's whether or not he's going to do it, if he's comfortable or not yet. But like, if you sit down with the alphabet in him, he could go all day with you. He loves letters and words and numbers.
So I've heard, chicka chicka boom boom.